Buying heavy equipment for any business in Canada, that is one of the biggest checks you will ever write. But what if we stopped seeing it as just this massive expense and started looking at it like a really powerful strategic investment? Okay, let's dive into this because there is a huge financial game changer hiding in plain sight for all of us. So first, let's just talk about the scale of this whole thing. $4.1 billion. That's how big the Canadian construction equipment market is going to be by 2031. It's a massive growing industry, which really just means the demand for your work is only going up. But believe it or not, that isn't even the most important number we're going to talk about. This is the number that can actually change your business. $93 billion. That's with a B. That is the total amount of federal government incentives just sitting there, available right now for Canadian businesses. It's this giant pool of money designed to help you invest. And honestly, most companies are barely even scratching the surface. Now, before we get into how you can actually claim your piece of that $93 billion, we really need to understand the opportunity that's driving all of this in the first place. You see, Canada is right in the middle of a massive construction boom. And when you look at the data, it's pretty staggering. So, what's so interesting about this is what it tells us about the kind of work being done. Almost half the entire market is dominated by absolute workhorse machinery, like crawler excavators. We're not talking about small jobs here. We're talking about huge, major projects from coast to coast to coast. And this isn't just some short-term blip, you know? The growth is being fueled by really solid long-term drivers. You can see it right here. Sustained infrastructure spending, the big rebound in housing, and all that massive spending on critical minerals projects. These are multi-year tailwinds for the whole industry. Of course, seizing this opportunity, well, it takes capital. You need the iron to do the work, right? And that brings us to what is probably the biggest hurdle for almost every business out there: financing your fleet. This is where a lot of really great plans can just stall out. And the reality is, financing costs are a serious thing to consider. I mean, depending on your credit history, the age of the asset, who you're borrowing from, you could be looking at anything from a pretty reasonable 5% all the way up to a much tougher 20%. But here's where we need a crucial shift in our mindset, especially if your credit isn't perfect. I love this quote from a financing expert: "Forget the interest rate, focus on the profit." The point is, if the equipment makes you more money than it costs to finance, it's a win. Simple as that. Yeah, that new plow might have a higher rate, but if it helps you land a massive snow removal contract, you are coming out way, way ahead. And the process itself, it doesn't have to be this big, scary thing. Institutions like the Business Development Bank of Canada have made it super straightforward. Look, it's a simple 3-step path. You submit your details online, you talk to a real person who actually understands your business, and then you get a solution that's tailored just for you. It's way more accessible than you might think. Okay, so we've covered the huge opportunity and the financing challenge. Now, let's get to the solution. This is really the core of it all: the financial strategy that can fundamentally change the economics of buying equipment. I like to call it the green discount. Let me just ask you a question, straight up. What if you could effectively slash the sticker price of brand new, top-of-the-line equipment by 30%? Or, in some cases, get this, by over 80%. I know it sounds way too good to be true, but it's not. And this brings us right back to that massive number from the beginning, that $93 billion. It's part of Canada's Clean Economy Investment Tax Credits program. And this isn't just another tax deduction. In a lot of cases, it's a refundable credit, which means the government literally sends you a check. They are essentially co-investing in your business. And if you're wondering why all this is happening, well, this chart tells the whole story. The market is shifting. While, yeah, traditional diesel engines are still the majority, just look at the explosive growth in electric and hybrid systems. We're talking a nearly 13% compound annual growth rate. The government is just using these incentives to hit the accelerator on a transition that's already happening. So how do they do it? Well, it's not just one single program. It's more like a layered strategy. You've got these direct, refundable tax credits from the federal government. Then you have these incredibly generous accelerated depreciation rules. And then, on top of all that, you have provincial grants and rebates that you can stack together for maximum effect. Okay, so let's get practical. How does this actually work? How do you navigate all these numbers to see a real, tangible impact on your company's bottom line? Come on, let's walk through it. First, a super quick primer on something called Capital Cost Allowance, or CCA. Put simply, it's the tax deduction you can claim each year for the depreciation of your business stuff. Normally, this is a really slow, gradual process that takes years. But for green equipment, the rules are completely different. And here is where it gets incredibly powerful. Just look at this comparison for a $45,000 work fan. Okay, with a traditional gas fan, you might get to deduct what, about $7,000 in the first year? But with a zero-emission electric fan, you can write off the entire $45,000 cost in year one. The tax savings are immediate, and they are massive. And on top of that, there's the Clean Technology Investment Tax Credit. For eligible equipment, we're talking things that improve your facility's energy efficiency, you get a 30% refundable credit. Now that word refundable is key. If you spend $100,000, you get $30,000 back from the government, even if you don't owe any taxes that year. It's just cash, right in your pocket. Now, let's see what happens when you stack it all together. This is a real-world example from Ontario for a $200,000 HVAC project. You get a $60,000 federal credit. You get a $100,000 provincial grant. You get over $10,000 in tax savings from depreciation. The total incentive value, it's over $170,000. Your true cost for a state-of-the-art upgrade is less than $30,000. I mean, come on, that's a total game changer. So what's the big takeaway from all of this? Well, it's about completely reframing how you think about buying equipment. This isn't just an operational decision anymore. It's a core financial strategy for your business. This slide sums it up perfectly, doesn't it? We need to shift our whole perspective from thinking about the sticker price to thinking about the true cost. The sticker price is what the dealer quotes you. The true cost is what you actually pay after the government has basically become your financial partner in the investment. So, the crucial point is this. The truly smart move today isn't just about buying the equipment you need to get the job done. It's about strategically leveraging government policy to get better, more efficient assets for a fraction of the cost and building a more profitable and future-proof business in the process. And that really just leaves us with one final provocative thought. With tens of billions of dollars on the table, specifically designed to help you upgrade to cleaner, more efficient tech, has the whole equation flipped? Is the biggest financial risks to your business no longer the cost of new equipment, but the cost of not taking advantage of these programs and just sticking with the old way of doing things? It's definitely something to think about.